All right, so it happened this past week. Police in Massachusetts, they say that a man, get this, drove his SUV onto the Browburn County Club golf course around 5 a.m. Why? Because he was stuck at the sixth hole. So the police were called in, and so police go up to him and say, "What's going on with you?" He says, I was just following my Waze GPS app and I landed on the golf course. Okay, use your eyes, buddy. Can't always trust technology. But speaking of GPSs, did you hear about the brand new GPS made specifically for anyone over the age of 70? Yes, over the age of 70. Not only does it tell you how to get to your destination, it tells you why you wanted to go there in the first place. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, just an example of the fun that we have here week after week as we talk about living the best digital life. And it's, of course, America's most trusted source about all things digital. We're the largest show here on the weekends about anything digital. You can find us on 420 top radio stations throughout the United States on your favorite radio app, and you can find us streaming 24/7 over at getkim.com. And you can also tap into us on the American Forces Network radio that serves more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in 175 countries and 200 ships at sea. And of course, it's called the Kim Komando Show because, after all, I'm America's beloved digital goddess, Kim Komando, here with you once again. You're not. You're not, but I'm so glad that you're here. Hey, listen, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. I'm sure you have at least about, half a dozen questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. All right, let's get started with 5 things you need to know about tech that's happening right now. And we're going to start with another ransomware cyber attack. And here we go again. Just a few days ago, an attack targeted JBS. Ever hear of JBS? I didn't hear about them either, but it's a Brazilian-based company that happens to be the largest meat processing company on the planet. Now we know. This one also halted operations. Talk about ground beef. Get that? All right, sorry. It caused a shutdown of at least 5 meat processing plants in the U.S. They're back up and running. Meat production levels are returning to normal, but this could be an unfortunate sign of what's to come because cyber criminals are now targeting big businesses with deep pockets. It's critical infrastructure. Now, before they said, we're not going to really disrupt anything. We're just in it and for the money. Remember, they had these moral guidelines? Not so much anymore. The ransomware group called REVIL, it's REVIL, or sometimes they say REVIL. They are from Russia, the ransomware gang, and what separates them from the rest is that they are truly cruel. And so some of the emails that I saw demanding the ransomware, they went into graphic detail of things that they saw somebody doing on a webcam that I can't talk about. So just a word to the wise is that whatever you do on the computer, just keep in mind that maybe there could be a copy of it out there. This is also the group that hacked a law firm last year representing celebrities like Lady Gaga and U2. When they failed to pay the amount demanded, this ransomware group doubled the price, and they posted some of Lady Gaga's legal docs online. Other data is being auctioned off to the highest bidder. But, one of the things that you have to remember is they can bring a meat processing plant to a grounding halt. They can turn off the lights, too. Number 2, weaponized drones. What are these? A few months ago, a Border Patrol helicopter spotted something strange in the airspace shared by the U.S. Air Force Base and the International Airport in Tucson, Arizona. And it wasn't a drone. What was it? They called it a quadcopter that was highly modified being their terms. Reports say it was about 5 feet wide, equipped with an infrared camera, obviously not battery powered, because the drone was able to outrun the Border Patrol helicopter and another Tucson PD chopper that was chasing it. And then this motorized drone, highly modified, just disappeared into the clouds at 14,000 feet. Now, authorities say they never saw it emerge from the clouds. Anyone on the ground didn't see anybody retrieve it. They think that these are the drones that are being used by drug cartels and being used in the U.S. and Mexico. While it's believed that some drones are used to transport drugs, the scarier thought right now is that maybe they're armed with makeshift bombs because the drones are so small. Maybe they can't carry explosives large enough to take out a crowd or building, but they are definitely able to cause injury or maybe worse. Maybe these weaponized drones aren't the worst news that you've heard yet, but it's way up there. Number 3, MagSafe. Definitely not always safe. I don't know if you've ever heard about MagSafe. It's a term that Apple has given a way to power electronics using magnets and keeping them together instead of a cable and a charger. You just place the device on top of a magnet and it charges up. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Not long after the MagSafe-equipped iPhone 12 was released, a report published in January said that the magnets could potentially interfere with pacemakers, defibrillators, and other medical implants. Apple put a warning on its website, and then this past week, big deal happened. Journal of the American Heart Association, they published its own report saying that the Apple MagSafe devices could interfere potentially with pacemakers. This report says it can cause interference when placed directly over the skin or in very close proximity to implants, which they say, quote, is clinically significant. Okay, those are some big words. They tested about a dozen different pacemakers, defibrillators, some of which were implanted in patients. The MagSafe had at least some effect on every single device. So if you have a pacemaker or defib, medical implant, make sure that you talk to your doctor about this study. Number 4, don't get caught in these X-rated scams. Okay, here's what's going on. Security firm Great Horn, they published a big report this past week. It's not your typical run-of-the-mill phishing emails. You get an email, it says, click on the link, which is going to take you to 2 types of sites. One that looks like a sketchy dating site with photos asking you to pay. Another one is a site with X-rated photos that wants you to confirm your zip code to find people to meet on the internet. Oh, isn't that nice? Once you turn over all your info, whether it's payment, personal details, you get another email, and then the follow-up threatens to blackmail you unless you pay up. Otherwise, they're going to turn over that info. They say to everybody on your contact list. We've got details and some samples of it that you can check out over at Komando.com. But a good rule of thumb to always follow is if you get an unsolicited email from a woman sharing naked photos of herself and she says she wants to meet you, well, you're going to be the one that's going to end up being indecently exposed. And finally, number 5, are you stressed out in life? Well, maybe you need to step into Amazon's wellness coffin. Yeah, you've probably heard about a lot of claims that people are work at Amazon. They're not happy with the working conditions. They are forced to work injured. Some don't get bathroom breaks. Sounds like a pretty stressful environment. And a way to make employees happier, Amazon is planning to put wellness chambers in its warehouses called, very clever name, Amazen, like Zen stations. It's basically a box with a door about the size of an old phone booth or a porta potty where employees, they say, can escape the stresses of work for just a little while. You can sit down and you can listen to relaxation music or maybe watch some videos. Amazon thought it was a great idea. They posted a video of the Amazen station on Twitter where apparently everybody started making fun of it. It was referred to as the crying booth. Motherboard referred to it as a chamber, a coffin-sized booth, and it does look like a coffin. It seems that Amazon's feelings were hurt because that tweet was deleted. But could you imagine a coffin booth with a television? Well, that's the last thing anybody would need. Hey, you want to stay right where you are? We've got news about hidden maps and trackers coming right up. And also we have 5 ways that you can use Google Voice to make your life easier. From time to time, it seems like over the last 6 months or so, I've been talking a lot about Google Voice, and people have been sending me emails like, what is Google Voice and how can I use it? Well, in our digital life hack this hour you don't want to miss, I'm going to give you 5 insider secrets that you're going to love me for. So stay right where you are because we have that coming up. And of course, all of your phone calls here on this Coast to Coast broadcast of the Kim Komando Show. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. Once again, is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder is that if you're listening to the show, gets interrupted for whatever the reason, you can always listen again, catch up on old shows over at getkim.com. And how about we start this hour with Brother Shockey in Nashville, Tennessee. Hello there, brother. How you doing?
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Fantastic.
I'm great. Good. I've been listening to you for years and years and years. You were my heads up technologically. You're my encyclopedia for tech.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I've been looking for an app because I'm using my debit card more and more than cash, and a lot because COVID and everybody shut down, and a lot of stuff's going over to Amazon and things like that. So Before COVID, I would use cash, and I'd get change back, and that would all go in a jar, my piggy bank, and I'm not getting that cash back. So, I'm losing like $500 every 3 years. I'd be cashing in like $500 in change.
Oh, you know what? That's sweet. That's nice, because that's like money like you didn't even think about that money.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, and before you know it, boom, you got a ton of money. So I was wondering if there was an app that does a piggy bank roundup thing. I've saw a lot of piggy bank apps, and those are mainly for kids, for parents to teach them budgeting. Sure. Roundup apps that you can round up to, to charities. And I'm a very benevolent person, but I want my change. And
You're a character. You're funny. I like you. Okay. All right, so here's the deal, is that there are a couple of apps out there, and it works kind of like your piggy bank jar, that you would put the change in your pocket when you come home. I have one in my closet. It's one of those old water bottles, the glass ones. I've had it for many years, and I just throw change in there, and someday I don't know how I'm ever going to pick it up. That's my problem, because they get so heavy. And even now, I don't know the last time that you actually looked at coins, but boy, it's really interesting to me. I mean, we used to say, like my father would always tell me, I don't know if you remember this, but a long time ago, my father would say, always keep a dime in your pocket in case you need to make a phone call. It's like, well, we don't need that anymore. But what these apps do is that when you use them, let's say, for example, you buy something that's 85 cents, okay? What it will do, it will round up to $1. So it will always round up to the next dollar. So if you buy something for 60 cents, it'll go to $1. Buy something for 97 cents, it will round up for $1. And then it takes those pennies and somehow turns them into dollars, and like you said, hundreds of dollars, and it will actually invest the money for you along the way. And you get to pick how you want your money invested. Do you want it to be moderate and conservative, or do you want to go crazy with it? Do you want to buy stocks? Do you want to buy municipal bonds, or whatever it is? There's a couple of companies out there. There's one in particular that I've tried myself. It's called Acorns, like acorns on a tree. And so the whole idea is it's going to round up the acorns. I mean, the simile really does kind of work right there. And then there's another one called Stash. Acorns, it sounds like it's probably more up your alley. Stash is really for people who want to have more hands-on their investments. So they want to say, I want only to buy Apple stock or Tesla or whatever it may be, versus Acorns, you're just going to pick like a category. And of course, so how do they make their money? Well, they make their money by taking a small percentage of whatever is in your account. And it's typically anywhere between, last I looked, it was about maybe just like 1%. But for that 1%, anything that you buy on that credit card, because you're going to link that credit card or that debit card, whatever it may be, because you can do credit cards too, is automatically going to be put into that account, and they're always going to round up to the next dollar. So it's a good way for you and for other people who are having trouble, like really trying to figure out, how do I save money, right? How do I do this? Because it's, as you mentioned, it's just so easy just to keep using your debit card and your credit card, and especially now with Apple Pay and Google Pay and Samsung, is that you just put your phone over it and there it is. We'll post some links to it over on the website in case you missed that information, and of course that's always inside the Komando community in the Q&A forum. All right, coming right up, we have Android apps that aren't going to be tracking users. What's going on with that? And we have our digital security tip you don't want to miss, and of course more of your fantastic phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. A couple of things I want to pass along. Over at Komando.com, we have this great post, 8 hidden maps and trackers you need to switch off, because you know that your phone collects all kinds of data about you, from the sites you frequent to the places you go. What you want to do is get into your phone's location setting. For your iPhone, it's called significant locations. On Android, it's called location history. Then when you get in there, I guarantee you're going to be shocked. Shocked, I'm telling you. Out of every single place that you've been is right there, free for the taking on your phone. Also, you can limit ad tracking. It means opting out of ad personalization on your iPhone, or on your Android, it's under web and app activity. And if you head over to Komando.com, look for the link called Kim's Show at the top of the homepage. And then we have a link to another article there called 8 Hidden Maps and Trackers That You Need to Switch Off. And speaking of tracking, following in Apple's footsteps, Google is about to make it harder for Android apps to track users when you opt out of personalized ads. That's all according to the Financial Times. Later this year, Google will cut off apps' access to advertising IDs, basically allows advertisers to track your interests. They say this way, Google says, we're going to give you more control over your data and help your privacy. Yeah, well, for everyone except for Google. And why are they doing this? Because now the people in Washington have finally figured out that Twitter is not the same thing as Facebook, and they're trying to figure out what the heck all these big tech companies are doing. And again, that's later on this year. Moments away from our digital life hacks this week is brought to you by Total AV, and it's all about these different ways that you can use Google Voice. But right now we go to Jen in Memphis, Tennessee. Hi there, Jen.
Hi, Kim.
So happy to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on, and I love your show, and I love all the advice that you give. I myself am slightly technologically challenged, so I just love hearing all the tips that you give to all your listeners. And I had a question, so
Sure.
I thought, who else to turn to?
Well, thank you. So what's going on, Jen?
So my question is, I was thinking about purchasing a digital photo frame for my parents who live long distance from all their kids and grandkids. And I thought that would probably be the perfect and easiest way to get them updated pictures of what's going on in our lives in a timely manner.
Sure.
Figured it'd be easier than the old age of sending pictures via email.
No, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Right. So they are extremely technological, and there's so many out there. I was getting a little confused as to the functions of all of them. So my question would be, what would be the best for us all being far away that we could simply and easily send these from our phone, and even the grandkids, the pictures to the grandparents, and where they would not have to do anything. We would be available for the initial setup to help them,
Yeah.
but then they could just enjoy the pictures.
Well, it's there, like you said, there's just a ton of them out there, right? Just a ton.
Right.
When Mother's Day came around this year, I thought, I'm going to give my mother a digital photo frame. So I went out shopping like you. And so which is the best one? And I want to pay a monthly storage fee. And I wanted to make it easy for everybody in the entire family to send her photos. And so I picked a brand that we actually had reviewed over on the website. Ben, our news director, he actually reviewed it, and he said it was great. And he had one complaint about it, is that sometimes the photos, when they're vertical, they they squish up a little bit. But I really haven't seen that too much of an issue on mine. But I bought my mother a frame made by a company called Aura, A-U-R-A. And out of the box, super easy to set up. Great. When you buy it, what you want to do is make sure that you specify that it's a gift. Okay. And when it is set up, specify that it's a gift. And so you just hook it up to Wi-Fi. And then once it's hooked up to Wi-Fi, and there's an app. And then your mom and dad or you can do it. I actually did it for my mom. Is that I emailed this link for everybody in the family where they can send their photos directly to the frame. So you open up the Aura app. It opens up your Google Photos or your photo gallery on your iPhone. You just point and click and select which photos that you want. It stores up to 100,000 different photos.
Wow.
Since Mother's Day, last time I checked, I think she has 1,300 photos. And if she likes a photo, she can touch the screen, and then that photo will play more in the rotation.
Oh, wow.
And it shows two photos at the same time, sometimes one photo, does videos. But I'll tell you, watching her sit there, watch this frame with a huge smile on her face,
right,
is just worth the $150, how much the frame cost, 10 times. Because my niece had a son, and so she's sending photos of her, now it's a great-grandchild, to my mother. And I'll be in her kitchen and I'll hear her say, "Look at how big this cookie pots is getting," And I'm like, and it's really such a joy to be able to do that. And so that's the one that I would recommend. And there, like I said, there are others. Like another one, a good contender is made by a company called Pickstar. But I tell you, I don't think you could probably beat the one that I got in it because it's just so incredibly easy. I'll post a link to it over at Komando.com. And if you want to see Ben's full review, you can do that. So does that set you up there in Memphis?
Yes, that sounds perfect. I think that's exactly what we will need to be able to keep them, current in our lives and just with daily photos. The texting of photos doesn't really seem to work. I'm not sure they grasped that concept yet. So I think the digital frame will be perfect.
Yeah, and then one of the things that I did is I actually scanned some older photos. Of my parents when like in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And so every once in a while I just throw her like that curveball and she's like, "What?" So it's
like how's this happening?
Yeah, she's like, like there was one where she's, it's a typical 60s photo. She's wearing like this big white wig,
Yeah.
And so if you have any of those laying around, you might want to throw them in just for giggles because it does make for great conversation. Jen, thank you so much for your call. For everybody else, I'll put this on my pile to put a link to it in the Q&A forum when I get done with the show. It seems like for the last 6 months or so that Google Voice has been coming up in conversation. I think maybe as we get all accustomed to our smartphones and we're looking now to expand its features. And so you've heard me refer to Google Voice from time and time again. I've been using Google Voice with VRBO because you need to have a phone number on VRBO. But I certainly did not want to put my personal cell phone number on the internet, right? I mean, who would ever want to do that? I mean, who would be dumb enough to do that? So that's why you want to use something like Google Voice, because what it allows you to do is to do a multiple of things. Like, first of all, you can keep your old number if you're switching carriers. So let's say that you've had your own cell phone number for years and years and years, and you don't want to get a new number. Well, they don't have to force you to get a number. What you can do is keep that number by paying Google Voice just $20, and then it will ring on your phone. So you might be saying, well, how does it ring? Well, you have an app, a Google Voice app, and then with that app, you can do so many things. You can take the call, reject the call. You can have people announce who it is. You can also have any type of voicemail transcribed free for you, by the way, and sent to your email. You can also send certain calls straight for voicemail. So let's say it is that VRBO, or let's say you're trying to sell something online, but you don't want to tie up your phone. You don't want to sit there and talk to everybody. Well, you can send everybody straight to voicemail. And then, as I mentioned, you can get that voicemail transcribed and then delivered to you via email. It's also a great way to give your contact information to strangers, also to businesses. A lot of businesses now say, hey, what's your cell number? So you can give them your Google Voice number. It's also a great idea if you own a business or if you have a side hustle, because you have to, again, put that number into the app, and you don't want to give them your main cell phone number because you don't know exactly what it's going to do. You can also record calls. Now, this is a tricky situation because Google Voice will let you record calls, but you have to make sure that it's legal. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you legal advice, but I just want to make sure that you're always complying with the law. You can find links to Google Voice and all the steps that I mentioned, anything that you need about it, over at Komando.com. Just hit the link at the top of the page that says Kim Show. Hey, there's a scam that's spreading like crazy right now. It's a fraud alert, and it's part of a way that they're trying to steal money from your bank account. So this is a really, really important one. So stay right where you are here with the Kim Komando Show. All right, if you're not getting the Kim Komando podcast, and I know that you're listening to the radio show, and I love that you're doing that, but the Kim Komando podcast, we've had a couple over the last couple of weeks that I think that you really need to listen to. Like, number one is about photos. All right, I know. We all have too many photos. We're trying to organize them. We don't know what to do. Got to get rid of duplicates. Don't know where to store them for the long term. How much should it cost? What do I do with them? Definitely need to get them off the thumb drive. Got them on my phone. Are they backed up? Okay, it's just so many different questions, right? And how many photos do you have? Little fun fact, if you go into your Photos app on your iOS device, whatever it may be, is that if you look at albums, it'll tell you the number of photos. And last time I checked, I think I had 46,000 photos. Wow. Don't waste the film, right? And so with this podcast, 30 minutes, we walk you through A to Z, exactly like what you need to do with these photos to get them off your phone, backed up, duplicated, good things like that. You're going to have to look at all episodes and pick it off the list. The other hot topic that we did that is trending like crazy is cryptocurrency. We did a whole podcast about cryptocurrency 101. What is cryptocurrency? How do you use it? What's a wallet? What's a password? What's a fiat? What can I do to make money mining cryptocurrency? Is that still even a possibility? And if so, which version of cryptocurrency? Because there's 10,000 of them. Okay, again, Kim Komando explains. Wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, you name it, just search. You have to tell it if you're going to do a voice one, you have to say KOM, or so they give you that whole different commando, which we didn't. I know, go Commando. I know you're laughing about it right now. So wherever you get your podcasts, go Commando. Kim Komando explains with a K, of course. Ron in Malcolm, Illinois. Hi there, Ron.
Hi, Kim.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's going on there in Macomb, Illinois, that I can help you with?
Macomb.
Oh, Macomb. I'm sorry.
Macomb. Yeah, that's okay.
Where is Macomb?
It's in south central Illinois, not too far from the Mississippi River.
Oh, I'm sorry I
Peoria,
mispronounced
Illinois.
that.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right.
So how can I?
I've enjoyed. I'm really a newcomer to your radio show. I have been getting your daily newsletters, and I read them with interest. In fact, there's so many things on them. I'm amazed by how comprehensive they are. But as I read through, I get so distracted. There's so many things of interest that it takes me longer than I had planned to get through it all. So I've been trying to cut back a little bit on the time I spend online, and this is not helping in that
I'm
sense.
sorry about that, Ron. I'm sorry.
No, but it's very, very interesting. I'm really not very tech savvy, as you will learn, I'm sure, before long. My problem, Kim, is that I purchased a Dot Echo from Amazon,
Okay.
and in hopes that it would help me to use voice commands to manage my various appliances.
Okay.
And it I installed it and followed all the directions and, tried to get it to turn on my coffee pot and my television set and reading lights and so forth, and nothing happened.
She just sits there she just goes, I'm
just
sorry, Ron. We don't get it.
Well, then I figured that, it seems to want things that are up to date technologically and that it can communicate with and integrate with. So I focused on those things and read into to Alexa the names of the products and the models and so forth. Made no difference. So I bought some smart plugs, thinking that would help.
Okay, so so everything that you've purchased smart is turning out to be dumb. Okay, so
right.
All right. Well,
and most of my appliances are dumb also.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Let's talk about a little bit about the way that you do it, and then I'm going to send you some links to some tutorial videos. Okay.
Great. Okay.
Is that the way that's supposed to work? Is that whatever that smart device is that it has an app. Okay, you install that app, and then somewhere you enable that it's going to be accessible by Alexa. And then you have to, so there's a step. It's not like Alexa's just going to go, oh, I see a smart plug in Ron's house, and I'm going to go over there. So each one has, someday maybe, Ron, but just not quite yet. Okay, so you have to install the app, and then you may also have to pair some devices together. And that requires you to say to a Fire TV, for example, that this is one account. We're only going to have one Amazon Prime account, and these are the ones that you're going to use to talk to each other. Same thing if you want to configure a Roku with Alexa. You have to go through some extra steps. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, gosh, this is me. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not you. The problem is that they really don't come with a lot of manuals. I mean, I can tell you this firsthand, but there are some tutorials that I'm going to send your way, and I want you to look at the tutorials. And if you need any other help after that, just know that I'm here because you taught me how to pronounce your hometown the right way. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry for that, for everybody that lives there. I really am. But I'm going to post some links over in the Q&A forum, and we'll send them directly to you, Ron. And thanks for being a new listener to the show and to the newsletters and good stuff like that. There's a fraud that's circulating online I need to tell you about because it affects your bank here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, if you ever get a text message that says you need to double check your bank account, just say no, okay? Because there's a big scam spreading that says it's from Chase Bank, and I don't want you to click it. Stay right where you are. We have another hour coming up here on the Westar Multimedia Network. Hey, thanks for watching a past episode of my national radio show. That's why it's called The Kim Komando Show Rewind. Now, to get the entire show, all 3 hours, when it airs live, or you can get on demand, head over to getkim.com and you can become a member of the Komando community. There are a ton of perks. Aside from just the show, you get free ebooks, a place to get answers to your tech questions, and more of me. So come on, what are you waiting for? Click that link right now and become a member. And thank you.